Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Sports Huddle on SEMO ESPN Radio. 1220 AM, 93.5 on the FM dial and online. You can always find us at SEMOESPN.com. And if you have a smartphone, you can download our free app. It's easy to join us that way. It's got the Listen Live link, links to our contests and promotions, the latest breaking news, the latest radar weather forecast, and a link to our podcast page. It is free. It is the SEMO ESPN app. Eric Shawn on the EBOMD Huddle Hotline. Rusty Hendricks. We will check in with him, but let's give you the EBOMD Huddle Hotline. You want to jump in with us? 573-334-1220. 573-334-1220. The Huddle Hotline powered by EBOMD. And we head to the hotline where Rusty Hendricks is joining us from his I don't know, I guess Lakeside Estate. Would I be accurate on that, Rusty?
I wish. That would be nice, Lakeside Estate. But no, just my humble abode. But, yeah, happy to join you this morning. Good morning to everybody.
All right. We've got a lot to get to here, including – wait, what's that? Yep, that's another win. Wait. The Cardinal fans who are, you're racking up wins against the Pirates and the Nationals and the Royals, who are good and were a playoff team last year. Cardinals weren't. This time, Rusty, it comes against the best team in the sport, and it wasn't even close. After the fourth inning, Cardinals had a 2-0 lead. And Sonny Gray was shoving all night. It's 10 strikeouts. It's 6 innings. I don't know if he goes back out there and pitches if we did not have a rain delay. But the Cardinals worked the Detroit Tigers. They'll get a stiffer test tonight, obviously, with Tarek Skubal going to the mound. But they beat the Tigers all about the head and face last night. That is a solid victory for the Redbirds, and a good way to kick off this homestand, right?
Absolutely. Detroit, you said it. They've been playing good baseball. They were leading the American League as far as their play, and Cardinals keep it going. And look, they've been a good home team this year. And you mentioned Sonny Gray, which his last start out it was a little bit of a clunker, and so it was a nice bounce back for him to be able to come in. And it's weird, but it's kind of how it's been this year for Sonny. It's either kind of really, really good or not so good. There's kind of no in-between for whatever reason this year for Sonny. But nonetheless, it was a good bounce back. And I think something like in 11 of the last 12 starts, Eric, the starting pitching has allowed 2 runs or less. So that is pretty phenomenal.
That is correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Cardinals starting pitching setting the tone, and some of these young guys are stepping up. I mean, Newbar and Wynn and Donovan, I mean, they all had a couple of hits last night. I think they combined, something like, I think it was like 7 for 15 or something like. I mean, it was something crazy. The top 3 in the lineup, and it was good to see Jordan Walker come in and get a big double, couple of RBIs as well. And again, up and down the lineup, guys contributing, and my guy Herrera still doing it. Moved up one spot in the lineup, and a couple of big hits, a couple of RBIs last night as well.
So it was 16 hits last night. Cardinals now have double-digit hits in 22 games. That is the most double-digit games by any team in Major League Baseball. Now, we're at the quarter point of the season, but this offense is certainly trending in a terrific direction. And if you were kind of following social media prior to the game, you found out why Nolan Arenado was in the 6th hole. It's something we've talked about on this show. You've probably talked about it on the scramble. Arenado just, he's not hitting like a Major League cleanup hitter. So apparently he approached Oliver Marmol. Marmol said that he had been contemplating maybe doing some juggling. Here is the quote, in fact, multiple quotes here from Nolan Arenado, Rusty. The quote, if those guys get on base, you've got to drive them in. I think it's more about the guys that are playing well, getting more at-bats right now. I don't think it's pressure when he was asked if there's pressure in the cleanup spot. I don't think it's pressure. I just think it's performance. And he went on to say, I've just got to play better. I don't know. I really don't have an answer. Just play better. More the way I think I'm capable of. But it's been a minute since I felt like I could play that way that I should. I don't know if it's coming back or not. So you hear some questioning of whether or not he's ever going to be the same hitter that he used to be. And right now, the numbers are just not good. The recent 9-game road trip, Washington, Philadelphia, Kansas City, he hit .216 with a .324 slug. So it's a total team move for Arenado to approach Oliver Marmol about moving down in the lineup. It seems like it is a reasonable thing that you've got to get guys that are swinging the bat higher up in the lineup, and that's exactly what Marmol did. And so I tip my cap a little bit here to Nolan Arenado to step forward and say that. I mean, this guy is a borderline Hall of Fame candidate when he retires from Major League Baseball. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know what kind of numbers he's going to put up between now and then. I did a deep dive in terms of Hall of Fame numbers. He is borderline right now. If you just go back and look at guys and the numbers that they have put up and whether or not they have been elected to the Hall of Fame. So he's a borderline candidate right now. Those guys have a lot of pride, Rusty. It impressed me that Arenado was like, hey, man, we got guys swinging the bat. We got to get them a little higher in the lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I mean, for Arenado to actually be the one to go to Ollie and say that, I think that shows leadership. That's something that we've talked about the Cardinal team for the last couple of years where there's been a lack of that in some aspects. But for Arenado to do that, I thought, you got to respect that and appreciate. You hope that, maybe some of the doubting right now doesn't get too far and that he can find a way to, improve and get better. Like, is he going to be his MVP self again? I don't think so. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. But, can he be an improved player? I mean, we see what, this year, what Goldie's doing in New York. I mean, can he find ways to improve? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I was calling for it over the weekend to move Arenado down. And, I made the comment that, hey, we don't want to hurt Arenado's feelings by moving him down, but, we need to get Herrera and Contreras, who's hitting better, to move up. But, so I say those things to say, like, hey, maybe I was wrong. I didn't think Arenado would do that. I wouldn't think that he would be the guy that would say, hey, move me down. But to his credit, he did, and to Ollie for doing it as well. And, that's not going to say that it's going to stay that way. If he can get to hitting again and find ways to contribute in different ways, he'll get back up there towards the middle of the lineup. But that's a good sign, I think. It's a team player, and right now that's kind of what the Cardinals are doing. They're playing as a team.
He had a career low last year, hard hit rate and exit velocity, and not much has changed. The numbers are very similar to where they were last year, which has got to beg the question. Everybody roots for Nolan Arenado. Whether or not, he's close to walking up the 18th fairway here. Everything I see says he looks like he could be done here in the very near future.
It's possible, but, he's a guy that, he's talked about a lot, Eric, about how hard of a worker he is and how much time that he puts in and that he, really takes everything seriously and how he goes about things. So, he's a guy that he's not going to be an easy one to give things up, that he's going to keep working and do what he can to find those little improvements. And, I would like to see a full year with him working with Brant Brown, to be honest with you, to see if he can unlock anything and, to see what he can do with that. But he's a guy that it seems like he puts almost too much pressure on himself, Eric, to perform. I'd like to see him just say, you know what, whatever happens, happens. If I'm struggling, fine. Just try to relax a little bit more. Try to not put so much pressure on himself, and maybe that can help him a little bit to where he's playing a little looser as well. We saw there for a while, a couple of years ago, last year actually, that he took a little bit of dip with his defense, and this year has been a little bit better with that for sure. So, a lot of it, I think, again, is just kind of a mindset thing. If he can just kind of reset and, find some more confidence in himself, maybe that'll help.
His hard hit rate going into last night ranked in the bottom 18% of major league hitters. Bottom 18%. Last year, his hard hit rate was in the bottom 12%. So it is very similar to last year. Last year, he ranked in exit velocity in the bottom 14%. I'm sorry, this year, 14% exit velo. Last year, the bottom 9%. So those numbers are very, very similar. They have increased just a little bit. But when you're in the bottom 14% and 19%, those are not good numbers. And again, we've only played a quarter of the season. So there's a lot that is still left in front of Arenado, but those numbers are not trending in a good direction.
Yeah, and, it was noted this offseason, Eric, that he had worked this offseason to try to increase his bat speed. That's something that he had worked on and tried to tinker with. And, early indications showing in spring training and early on in the season is that it did increase. Now, obviously, it hasn't resulted in some positive things on the field per se. But, look, as you know of, good pitchers that get towards the end of their career, you think of like an Adam Wainwright where he had to adjust, how he was going about it. He was, I wouldn't necessarily call him per se a power pitcher early on, but, he was a hard thrower and he could use his fastball in different situations. Obviously, that wasn't like that towards the end of his career. He had to adjust. He had to find different ways to get guys out. Arenado is going to have to do similar, at the plate. He's got to adjust. He's not the same type of power hitter that he was, so he needs to have a different approach at the plate. He needs to become more of a team guy, which I do think there's been some glimmers of that this year. But, again, how do you adjust to what the pitchers are doing to you? Do you find a way to adjust back to find success? And then that's a lot of what hitting is. I mean, there's obviously a decade's worth of book on Arenado. So do you try to change things up a little bit? Do you alter your swing a little bit? Try to get to where you can be quicker through the zone, maybe sacrificing some power, but maybe having more control at the bat to give you a better opportunity to spray the ball around the field.
It was 0 for 4 last night. Did have an RBI. It's 241 batting average now. Here is manager Oliver Marmol after the Cardinals just won for the 13th time in their last 15 games.
Yeah, it's a good lineup across the way. They've done a nice job offensively all year. So he did a phenomenal job. Had everything working for him. Was able to use the sinker enough to keep them off the fastball, beat a couple guys with it with 2 strikes, and then leaned on spin to get the rest of his strikeouts. But overall, just did a really, really nice job. Was on the attack the whole time. And when you have an outing like his last one, that's what really good pitchers do, right? That's what allows you to stay in the league for as long as he has. You bounce back and you shove, and that's exactly what he did. You're spot on. Yeah, there's times where we talked about it to slug and there's times to hit. Our team has done a really nice job when you look at our on-base percentage and overall average compared to the league. Like, we've done a nice job of just being good hitters. And then there's a time you take your shots and we were able to blow the game open. But we did a really nice job of executing our plan and getting guys on base and continuing to add pressure. And that's one thing we definitely wanted to do today and just not stop. This is a really good club. They can come back from just about anything, so you want to continue to add pressure and just get them out of the game. So we executed at a high level. We really did.
22nd time this year you guys have had double-digit hits, tied for most in the league. How much of that is like not letting the pitcher get a breath? Like there's depth in that lineup.
Yeah, like you could just see it, right? Every at-bat, there's real competition every pitch, and it's tough on the opposition. We've done a really nice job of not giving away too many at-bats. You're going to give away at-bats from time to time. I was talking, I think it was to Denton, to you earlier. Like AP would say that all the time, right? Like, man, every year I want to give away less and less at-bats. I think as a club we're doing that much better. We're not giving a whole lot away. Yeah.
All right, so you got Oliver Marmol, and if you are watching a post-game show, Rusty, and maybe you're having a cocktail, a great drinking game is every time Marmol uses the two words "nice job," you take a drink. You may not make it to the end of the Cardinal postgame show.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna back his guys. He's gonna continue to be positive about his group. But I mean the way they're playing right now, it's they're doing well. And I agree with a lot of what he's saying there. I mean, what this lineup is doing, and he's talking about trying not to give up too many at-bats and try to really put pressure throughout the lineup, and that's kind of what they're doing right now.
All right, today on ESPN.com, David Schoenfield has an article, and basically it is asking about three surprise teams that are playing really well right now. Are they real or are they fake? Okay? Are they real or are they a fraud? The three teams are the Detroit Tigers, the San Francisco Giants, and the St. Louis Cardinals. So I want to bring out some quotes in the article from Schoenfield and get your response, or EBOMD Huddle Hotline number 573-334-1220. So Schoenfield points out the Cardinals were 14-19 in early May and kind of looked like everybody expected, not very interesting. And the numbers that jump out for the rotation right now, and by the way, when they were 14-19, then they went on their run, sweeps of Pittsburgh and the Nationals, but also series wins over the Phillies, the Mets, the Royals, obviously last night against the Tigers. A couple of things that Schoenfield points out. The number that jumps out, however, is the strikeout rate from the rotation. Fedde, Palante, Michaelis are all averaging fewer than 6 Ks per 9, and it is difficult to remain successful in this baseball era with a strikeout rate that low. Of the 116 pitchers, 116 with at least 40 innings, those three pitchers I just mentioned of 116 rank 105, 106, and 111 in strikeout rate, but they have an ERA of 3.78. And he says he's skeptical, although Palante in particular is a great ground ball pitcher, and they have great infield defense, Mason Wynn, Nolan Arenado, Brendan Donovan. He says the offense feels a bit more like the real deal, even as Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker struggle. Victor Scott has been much better after being overmatched in the majors a year ago. Wynn has a 349 on base after he went just 4 for 50 in spring training. He goes on to say they do not have much power in the lineup. And in the end, with those two things that pop out, the lack of strikeouts from the starting pitchers and the offense not quite having enough power, there is potential here to surprise and battle the Cubs for the division. But for now, I am not completely sold. His verdict is not real. Or in other words, real or not real, He says, at this point, I am saying not real. Your thoughts?
Eric, what division are the St. Louis Cardinals in?
A very winnable one.
All right. Well, does that change your opinion at all on the St. Louis Cardinals this year?
Yeah, he's very vague about the potential here to battle the Cubs for the division is there. So I don't know if he's referring to the entire National League, whether or not they're a real threat should they win the division. It sounds like he is saying that they may not be a real threat to the Cubs, which I would not agree with.
Exactly. Now, if you want to say, are they a real contender as far as a World Series contender, then yeah, I would say, okay, yeah, I agree with you that I'm not sold on that. But if you could say, hey, are they a contender to be a playoff team, whether it be a wild card and or a division winner, I would say, look, that to me they are real right now. Look, there's a lot of season left. I mean, things can change, but the way the Cubs are battling injuries right now, Eric, and I know that he mentions the strikeout information with the starting pitching, but I mean, what ballpark do you that you work in? You work in at Busch, Pitchers Friendly Park, and your defense has been very, very good this year. And I understand, obviously, over time, having a better strikeout rate is going to be good for your team and better success. And honestly, right now, I think there's only one starting pitcher. If you look at, you can put whatever stock you want to put in it, Eric. I think if you look at the expected ERA, okay, it's a projection stat, an expected ERA. I think everyone's ERA is either basically where they are or actually the expected ERA is higher than what it actually is. So if you look at that, that's pretty much saying that, yeah, probably the starting pitching will maybe get a little worse as we go on. However, the way the offense is, I still think that, if they can stay at a pretty good clip, that can carry this team for a while and at least be competitive. Are they going to lead the division and be atop of the Cubs? I don't know, but I think they're going to compete and be in the mix throughout the entire year. And again, because of the division the way it is, I don't think they're going to go anywhere. And so for those aspects, I have to say that they would have to be real.
And also considering what the team on the north side of Chicago has at the back end of its bullpen. The Cubs were in Miami last night with a 1-run lead, 2 outs, 9th inning, bases empty. Daniel Palencia is closing for the Cubs. And so it is a leadoff base runner, stolen base. So you got the tying run at second base. Tying run at second base for the Miami Marlins. And then what does Palencia do? He walks the winning run. 2 outs in the 9th inning. And then they send Jesus Sanchez to the plate, the Miami Marlins.
That is life. Fair over the bag at first. Rolling down the right field line. This is going to tie it. It might win it. The Marlins walk off the Cubs.
I told you it's been an exciting game. And even a more exciting finish.
Nobody screams more than the Marlins television guy, but that's the way that it ended last night in Miami as the Cubs bullpen pukes again. So we shall see, but I'm telling you right now, as somebody who watches a lot of Cub games, it is anything but automatic late in games with Presley and now Palencia. I don't know. They haven't given Drew Pont the fact that he has not given up a single run this year because he doesn't throw 99 like Palencia. I don't know. In some people's minds, you have to be near triple digits or you can't. You're not qualified to get outs 25, 26, and 27. I don't know who made that rule up. I never saw Trevor Hoffman hit 97 degrees in the history, 97 miles an hour in the history of his career. But you've got a team in Chicago, Rusty, whose back end of the bullpen is not good. This is a winnable division. It just is.
It is. And who was picking up some big saves in postseason play for the Yankees last year? Luke Weaver. I don't think he throws all that hard. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to have a guy that's blowing it, 99 out there to be a good closer. And, we saw the Cubs, Eric, at the beginning of the year play one of the toughest schedules over the first month. But, you have the Marlins for 2 more. They go to play in Cincinnati against the Reds. Then you get the putrid Rockies at home, and you get the Reds again. So they're in a stretch right now. After that, you have the Nationals as well. So they're in a stretch right now, Eric. At least they have a little bit of easement as far as their schedule, as far as the Cubs. But for them, right, they just need to get healthy. I mean, that's the thing right now. Can you weather the storm for the Cubs right now and try to get healthy down the road? And that's what they need, because that's kind of what they're battling right now, and they're going through some of their depth. But, we saw the Cardinals with their bullpen. They went through a funk, went through an issue to where they were struggling. They've righted the ship, and, the Cubs can do the same thing. Just need to find guys to put them in good situations, put them into roles that'll fit them, and then they'll be okay.
Once again, it's 22 double-digit hit games now for the St. Louis offense. I am really keeping a close eye on what Ivan Herrera does. His batting average went down last night, Rusty, even though he was 2 for 4. Or, I'm sorry, 2 for 5. He was 2 for 5 last night. His batting average went down to 426. This guy is absolutely raking right now. It is fun every time Ivan Herrera gets in the batter's box.
It is. And, the thing about Herrera, you look at different guys, and look, you can look at certain players and you can point out, okay, this is a weakness, right? You look at them at the plate, like, look, this is what they do well, and, they're a very good mistake hitter, or, you don't leave it middle in because they're going to do damage, but, they struggle with the slider off the plate, right? But you look at Herrera and you look at his at-bats, I don't really look and see, like, there's a obvious weakness for him at the plate. And that's the thing that gives me kind of some promise and some hope about him. Look, is he going to bat what he's doing now throughout the year? Of course not. I mean, he's gonna slow down. But, I mean, he's a guy that I think that can fit in the middle of the lineup maybe for a while now. And, hey, for the Cardinals and anybody, you got a hot player like that, you got to ride him as long as you can because, at some point it's going to flame out. But, look, Arenado's been doing it. Herrera's been doing it well this year. And, it's crazy to me, like him just missing like a month of the year and then just stepping right back in and not like he hasn't missed a beat. That's what's crazy to me. But, the Cardinals right now as a team, Eric, they're seventh in Major League Baseball in runs scored. So they're right now a top 10 offense. And
they're second in batting.
Fun.
They're second in batting average. So that's just all there is to it. The one thing I would say about the lack of power, the Detroit Tigers had a pretty good run last year and won a playoff series. They finished 24th in Major League Baseball in home runs a year ago. The Royals finished 20th. They were a playoff team. The Brewers finished 16th. They won another division title. I don't think that you can just point to the lack of ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark as to why this offense may regress to the mean. Now it might, and you would like to hit the ball out of the ballpark a little bit more. But at the same time, it's not as if the Cardinal offense cannot score enough, especially if the starting pitching continues to go. And, hey, I understand it's a different era now, but when Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan were at the helm, they had a lot of pitch-to-contact pitchers and had a lot of success.
Yeah, that's right. And, does it give you some pause on, okay, could it go down? Yeah, because of with lack of slug. But that's where, you've got to be team-type hitters where you're moving guys over, you're finding a way to score them with runners in scoring position. Obviously, over the past couple of years, that's been a big issue for the Cardinals, but they've been much better at that this year. You mentioned their average second in the league. Well, they're second in BABIP right now, too, okay? Batted balls in play, their average is 312. So have they gotten some good batted ball luck? Yeah, maybe. But, again, it's not just one guy. If you look throughout the lineup, you're having pretty good success 1 through 9. And that's what is encouraging. It's not, just the top 3 in the lineup and then you kind of see the drop-off. You're seeing throughout the lineup a pretty good production and improvement from some of the young guys.
They've gone on this run, and again, since May 4th, they are 13-2. And one thing to keep in mind, they stink in extra inning games. They haven't won one. They're 0-4 and still have that record. Since April 25th, the Cardinals have the best team in the National League. April 25th. It is now May 20th. They're 17-6 since April 25th. They're 16-6 at home. And then, as we mentioned earlier, the starters have allowed 2 or fewer runs in 11 of the last 12 games. We shall see tonight when the Cardinals will trot out Eric Fedde against this Detroit Tigers lineup. If you have never seen, really sat down and watched Tarek Skubal pitch, you are going to be very impressed. Now, we'll see if he can slow down a hot offense because the Cardinals' offense is hot. I realize that they had only scored 2 combined runs in their last 2 games, but it was a nice bounce back last night. How will they do against Skubal? And will Jordan Walker be in the lineup tonight? I've got to say yes.
Yeah, I would think so against the lefty and Skubal. Tough matchup, big boy. Have fun with that. But, yeah, right now, I think, Eric, you'd have to say he's the best pitcher in baseball, isn't he? What he's done over the past year and a half, it's been impressive. He is a good pitcher, but the Cardinals have had success against some of the top arms in the league this year as well. So, we'll see. I was kind of looking forward to Jack Flaherty in the series. It sounds like he's going to be pushed back, so I guess we won't get to see him. But, yeah, getting to see Skubal, good luck Cardinals tonight.
Not only did Skubal win the Cy Young last year, Rusty, he won the pitching Triple Crown, okay? So that's 18 wins, 2.39 ERA, 228 strikeouts. Led Major League Baseball in all 3 of those Triple Crown categories. And his ERA of 2.39 last year has ballooned all the way up to 2.67 this year, Rusty. Maybe he's vulnerable.
Yeah, he's vulnerable. He's good. He is filthy, especially when all of his pitches are going. Boy, he is tough to beat. And
if you're a Cardinal hitter tonight, don't go up there working the count, okay? Because for Tarek Skubal, it's 71 strikeouts, it's 6 walks. He's not going to walk you.
I think he leads the league in strikeouts, does he not?
As of now, yes.
Yeah, this cat is doing it. 28-year-old, 6'3" lefty. I think he has a 1.87 ERA in his last 7 games. Yeah, he's the real deal. He's in his prime right now, and Cardinals. This is a game in which you'd like to have a little slug, find a way to, get a pitch or two that you can kind of do some damage with. But he's not going to be an easy guy to do it against.
Boy, I'll be interested to see Donovan and Nootbaar, 2 key lefties, and right at the top of the batting order for the Cardinals against Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, tough matchups for sure.
All right. So last night, I don't know if a lot of Cardinal fans were paying attention. The big Yankees-Mets showdown over the weekend, there was a play where clearly Juan Soto was not running hard to first base. Well, the Mets didn't fare very well over the weekend at Yankee Stadium, and Juan Soto can smile and tip his cap all that he wants. He stunk in that series. In fact, he has been a major underperformer so far with that $765 million contract. And again last night, does not run hard when they play in Boston. Going to give you the play where he didn't run hard, what Soto had to say about it, and what does his manager have to say about it.
What did I say the point was?
Soto flies one deep to left, back toward the wall, and it's off the fence. And Soto will have to stop at first base.
He looked at it, and he's played here enough to know that I didn't think he got that enough.
Well, he and Alonso both have been guilty of thinking that the ball was going out to left field and not running hard to first base.
All right, so he's posing, thinking that he had gotten it, and he did not, and did not run hard to first base, and ends up with a single. Here is Soto after the game about not hustling out of the box.
A couple of plays where you were slow getting out of the box. Is that something you have to be more aware of?
No. I think being hustling very hard. If you see it today, you could tell.
All right. It's not something that he is concerned with. Well, how about Carlos Mendoza, the Mets manager? Is he concerned?
But box on that ball off the wall. Last night he had a play where he was a little slow getting out of. Do you have to talk to him about any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk to him about it. Tonight, obviously, someone gets a hold of one and knows when he gets it, he's won, you know. And he thought he had it, you know, with the win and all that. And in this ballpark, or you know, anywhere, but in particular in this one, with that wall right there, you got to get out of the box. So, yeah, we'll discuss that.
You know, it goes without saying, if you're making $765 million and you're the highest paid professional athlete in North American history in terms of contract size, is it too much to ask? Is it your responsibility to run down the first baseline hard, Rusty?
Yeah. I mean, in the New York Post, their back page right now, that they just released a picture of Juan Soto, and it says Juan slow-mo. Soto fails to bust it out of the box again and denies it after an ugly loss. I mean, look, if you're struggling, Eric, those types of things are going to be magnetized, right?
In New York, on top of that, I mean, we're not talking about Baltimore. It's New York.
Absolutely, they're going to ride you when you're not playing well, and if those types of things come out to where you're not hustling, if you're maybe a bad teammate or not doing your job. Yeah, that's going to be magnetized, especially in New York, like you said. And, you know, those are the little things that you can do. I mean, it's not that hard. It's not hard to hustle. It's not. But, you know, obviously that would cause too much effort to do that. You know, it's not cool to hustle, I guess, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's for New York, he better start performing or it's going to be a tough year.
All right, there is a new documentary on Netflix. I want to get your thoughts on whether or not you are interested in that. And we talked about Paul Skeens on this show several times, playing for such a bad organization that apparently is not really concerned about winning. We're going to get the thoughts of the Hall of Famer, Bob Costas. He's going to join us when we come back. And how about this? More flights into and out of Kansas City, Missouri, now that the Chiefs have released their schedule. It's all straight ahead. It's the Sports Huddle. Rusty Hendricks in today. SEMO, ESPN. Sports Huddle, SEMO, ESPN, 1220 AM, 93.5 FM, and online at SEMOESPN.com. Eric Shawn, Rusty Hendricks on the EBOMD Huddle Hotline number. Rusty, with the release of the NFL schedule, with that in mind, American Airlines has now added more than 22,000 seats and 185 flights for football fans following the release of the schedule. Here's the quote from American Airlines. They know that fans want to be in the stadiums where the legends are made and memories are cherished. Just as the players get ready to step onto the field with confidence, fans can confidently step on board an American flight that they booked as part of our largest ever fall football schedule. So there have been increased flights into Kansas City for the Chiefs. And with the release of the schedule, they have added flights for road games in Jacksonville, Nashville against the Titans, and for their weekend when they go to the Oakland Raiders. So American Airlines jumping in and scheduling more and more flights so Chiefs fans can watch Mahomes and company.
I like it. Yeah, that's pretty neat that they're doing that. Adding more so fans can jump on that. Maybe they'll give us some good deals. What do you think about that? I'm sure they'll do that, right?
I would think that they might do something to entice you to fly American, because I'm sure they're not the only airline that's probably doing this, right? We're just giving you American.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of the other airlines will be doing some similar things, but I guess it speaks to some of also how the brand of the Chiefs has grown the past several seasons. That it's not just kind of a regional team, but it's starting to increase of more of a national team. Look, how many games are the Chiefs on primetime over the past several seasons? And for good reason, right? They're one of the best teams and have arguably the best quarterback in the league for sure. Mahomes, and they're entertaining. They've gone through so much winning. It seems like they're in the Super Bowl every year. So, whether it be the NFL wants fans to like them or they want fans to hate them, I don't think they care. They just want eyeballs on them. And, it makes sense for the airlines, right? If they feel like they can fill the seats, to go to these road games, and why not?
So the Chiefs have 7 standalone games, 6 primetime games. And speaking of football, I have seen the trailer. I've been waiting for the release of this on Netflix. Well, today's the day. It is Untold, The Fall of Favre. It's about Brett Favre. And just by watching the trailer, this guy is a real piece of work and nothing like the public persona that many people had of him while he was playing football. I am very, very interested to watch this. Is this something that's going to be on your radar again? And they've got other documentaries that are titled Untold. This particular episode, and it's a 1-episode docuseries here, The Fall of Favre, available today on Netflix.
I got to be honest, I don't know. I haven't seen the trailer or don't know a lot about it. Whose camp is kind of putting this out there? Is it Untold kind of his perspective?
No. This is the main guy who spearheaded a lot of this, AJ Perez. He used to work at Front Office Sports, and at one point in this documentary, he plays a voicemail that he saved on his phone from people associated with Brett Favre, basically threatening him. And so, and the the fraud with the charity down in Mississippi. From what I understand, the first part of it documents, his rise from high school to college to the NFL, all those things. And then it gets into a lot of things inside his personal life. The pics that he sent to the girl that worked for the New York Jets. It goes into details. She is interviewed, said that whole thing back then when he was with the Jets, quote unquote, ruined her life. It goes into the fraud with the charity down in Mississippi. I mean, they pull no punches on this scenario, and none of Favre's people are involved in this documentary. He certainly isn't.
Gotcha. So you're saying it's not something that he would put his stamp of approval on?
No, man. This is going to make him. I mean, just from what I saw with the trailer, and again, I'm ready to watch it, but it's available today. This is going to change public perception about him a lot, especially for the people that really weren't up to speed on that charity fraud situation down in Mississippi.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be interested in seeing that for sure because I'm sure there's going to be a lot more, details and information come out that maybe as a public you're not aware about. So I think that'll be interesting and to see that. And, again, a lot of times like on TV, if you're just watching games, you have zero idea of how guys really are and how they are as people. I mean, you get a glimpse of that. That's why some of those HBO series, Eric, when they follow the teams are pretty interesting. Some of the other things that we saw on Netflix, the quarterback series, the wide receiver series, whatever. So you get more glimpses of kind of the reality and how guys really are. So it'll be interesting. Something I would be interested in to seeing. It's weird because for so long, obviously Aaron Rodgers was compared at the beginning with Favre and I talked about, Aaron Rodgers is so much different than him. But it's funny because they've actually followed a similar career path in some aspects, and obviously there's questions about Rodgers and how he is as a person as well. And now you have, obviously, with Favre. So I think that is an interesting element as well.
Did you see this video of Knicks fans pelting ESPN's Brian Windhorst with garbage, getting in his face and yelling at him as he's trying to go from the basketball arena to his hotel? Have you seen any of this video footage?
Yeah, that's crazy, is it not?
I mean, one more reason why I hope that the Knicks get shipped here in this round of the NBA playoffs. And then another video of a Pacers fan leaving a Knicks game, and they're throwing garbage at him, bags full of garbage, and they are harassing him. He's got a Tyrese Halliburton jersey on. And so apparently Pat McAfee found out who this guy was, and it's a disturbing video too. And he brought the guy on his show, and Tyrese Halliburton has invited him to, I don't know which game he's coming to, but they've got tickets for him and invited him to come to the game on Halliburton, and McAfee gave him a little love on his show. But these freaking Knicks fans, man, I cannot root for a team any stronger than I root against the New York Knicks, who haven't won anything in a half a century.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, why do that? Like, what's the point, for real? I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't get that at all. It makes zero sense why fans would do stupid stuff like that.
Ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't get it at all. It's a terrible look. I mean, you saw him after the victory to get to the finals, right, in the conference finals, that, the fans were going nuts in the street and they were crowd surfing, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
that's
cool,
fine to
like
celebrate.
Won,
that's fine to celebrate, but this stuff is garbage.
Yeah. I mean, there's no place for that, Eric.
Case because they had to put Reese Olson on the injured list, meaning they're shifting Wednesday's game to a bullpen game. They're going to move Flaherty to Thursday. They've got a series with the Cleveland Guardians, so Flaherty's going to pitch in that series and not at Busch. I don't know why you have to move Flaherty back to Thursday. Do you think it being in St. Louis and Busch had anything to do with this at all? I understand they put someone on the IL, but it's still his day to pitch.
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. I wouldn't think that would have anything to do with it, honestly, that he just, if it was him or just the Detroit coaching staff in general decide, hey, we don't want you to pitch against St. Louis. I don't think that's the reason, but it would have. I wanted to see it. I actually think that the Cardinal fans would have gave him, like they do with pretty much every guy. They would have gave him an ovation at the beginning, and then they would have cheered later on when the Cardinals, scored 4 or 5 runs against them and knocked him out of the game. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that has much to do with it.
All right, this is going to be our final huddle of the week unless the SEMO baseball team gets bounced early in the OVC tournament. They will play tomorrow, Rusty. It will be a 4 o'clock game. Now, they're going to play. The tournament starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., and the teams that are involved in the first 2 games, 9 and 12:30, are seeds 5 through 8. That's the way they've got it constructed. And if you're going to make it to day 2, where magically you are into the double elimination portion of the bracket, if you can weather the storm Wednesday, then it's double elimination protection. You've got to be beaten twice to be eliminated from the tournament. So it starts tomorrow, 9 a.m., number 5, Southern Indiana versus number 8, Little Rock. Then at 12:30, 6-seeded Lindenwood against the 7-seed UT Martin. SEMO plays at 4 against the winner of Southern Indiana and Little Rock. On paper, Little Rock is an easier matchup. SEMO just swept them, and it was not competitive. Southern Indiana, that series was competitive, but Southern Indiana swept SEMO 2 weeks ago. So they've got a 3-game winning streak, and they have a much better team than Little Rock. Little Rock has a couple of good starting pitchers. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Southern Indiana can really hit the baseball, and they roughed up Nathan Mertens. He didn't make it out of the 4th inning in Evansville, and, of course, Mertens is going to be the guy for the Redhawks. So at least on paper, that's a tougher matchup for SEMO. So the Redhawks have to win that game tomorrow at 4 o'clock to get double elimination protection, and then they would move on. Should they win, they would play the early game Thursday at 11 a.m. against Eastern Illinois, who won the regular season title. SEMO beat EIU 2 out of 3 in 3 very competitive games. The game SEMO lost was the 19-inning game against EIU, which is the longest game in the history of the Ohio Valley Conference. So that's the way that it shakes out. And you've been to Marion, Illinois. It's a good place to go watch baseball.
Absolutely. It's a great venue. I think the OVC has done a good job of using that. And, it's a great place to watch a ball game. It's good atmosphere. There's not a bad seat in the house. Definitely feels, it feels like a minor league stadium is what it feels like. And, for SEMO, I wanted to ask you because, look, they were in that tough stretch, but I think it was huge for them to get that sweep against Little Rock. I know that Little Rock had been scuffling, but how important do you think that was for SEMO to just build at least some sort of momentum going into the OVC tournament, kind of getting a little bit of confidence back and maybe righting the ship a little bit with some of their pitching and things like that, getting the bats going a little bit because, look, it's not going to be easy. I think, like you mentioned it, Wednesday in particular is going to be so important for them to have a good game to kind of lead them down the road here, the stretch of the OVC tournament. But just how big do you think that was to just gain a little momentum going into the tournament?
Well, getting confidence at the plate, that's where SEMO had struggled the most was offensively. Their pitching has been good enough, but they just had not been hitting in key spots. Well, they did a ton of hitting over the weekend. So we'll see. Southern Indiana does not have a great pitching staff. So now you're gonna see one of their best. I mean, if it's Andres Gonzalez, I think he ended up leading the league in lowest batting average against for the season. So a guy that it is tough to get a lot of hits off of. He's been their number 2. So in theory, the Redhawks might face him. But if they get into a shootout here or a showdown with Little Rock, they'll spend as much pitching as they need to advance. So I don't know how that would go. I would be surprised. Little Rock looked done when SEMO put them away over the weekend. But just hitting the ball like they did, getting confidence. You have confidence in their pitching. They've got the best pitching in the league. But offensively, that is where things went south. And in fact, the entire season. I mean, overall, they went into that last weekend against Little Rock, ranked dead last in team batting average for the entire regular season. Overall games. Now, they ranked a little higher in conference-only games. So, yeah, it had not been the same offense that it was last year, where they finished second in team batting average for the season and hit 106 home runs. They're not that kind of a team this year, but they have veterans who have hit in the postseason. They've got a lot of them in that batting order. So, yeah, it was huge. Confidence and hitting go hand in hand, and the Redhawks certainly have some now, and they are certainly thinking payback if they get Southern Indiana or if they get Little Rock, which I doubt. Then they're thinking, well, we just beat them. Let's continue the roll here and then see if we can't make some noise in the double elimination portion of the bracket. Now, you called a game yesterday. Unfortunately, bad news. Notre Dame's season came to an end. That was in Kennett, right?
That's correct. The Class 4 District 1 baseball tournament in Kennett. Kennett they were the 4 seed. They upset the number 1 seed in Dexter, winning 2-0 in their game. And then Notre Dame came in as a 3 seed. You saw Fredericktown as a number 2 seed. And, P.J. Bowen has been kind of their ace all year. He had like a 1.45 ERA coming in, and he did well. I mean, he kept them in the game. The thing yesterday for Notre Dame, they just couldn't hit. They had 3 hits. And they got off to a good start, Eric. They were able to grab a 1-out double in the first inning, and then with 2 outs, they got an infield single that ended up scoring the first run of the ball game. It was 1-0 that way until the bottom of the third. And the turning point in the game was where Notre Dame, they were bases loaded, and there's 2 outs in the inning. TJ was trying to get through the at-bat, and a guy flared a ball down the right field line, perfect placement, 5 feet to the left of the foul line, and kind of in that, Bermuda Triangle, if you will, with a first baseman, second baseman, and right fielder. It fell in because there were 2 outs. 2 guys score. When they throw it in, Notre Dame's catcher gets it, and, of course, there's some frustration because they just scored. They took the lead 2-1. He starts to walk out to the mound with the baseball. They didn't call time. That third runner comes all the way around, kept running, and he ends up scoring as well because the catcher has vacated his position at home plate. No one's there. And so all of a sudden it's 3-1, and it seemed like the game totally changed at that point. Fredericktown was able to add a couple other runs late insurance-wise, but after that, just Notre Dame didn't respond. They didn't have any hits past the second inning. None. So give credit to the guy on the mound is a lefty, Ryan Salden, for Fredericktown. He's their ace. He's going to Mineral area. He's a solid pitcher. He was throwing mid-80s, had a very good breaking ball last night, and Notre Dame couldn't touch him. So it'll be Kennett. It'll be Fredericktown. And, Steve Williams, he's the head coach at Fredericktown, very good coach. First year as the head coach for them, actually, as a baseball coach. He's been their football coach for a little bit. Of course, the connection with Cape Central and obviously with the Kappa Halls and with SEMO. And he knows what he's doing, and he's got his team playing well in Fredericktown. They won their first district title last year since like the 80s, the late 80s. And so they have a chance to repeat this year in Class 4. And, Kennett won it, I believe, 3 years ago, the last time they won. They've had a tough year in Kennett. They have not played well, really. But, they're a fundamental team. They have a good coach in Aaron New, and they're playing, I guess, pretty good baseball at the right time as well. So both of those teams, are going to be without their ace on Wednesday for the district championship. But we'll see. A tough way for Notre Dame to lose. They end up with a 14-1 record as they end the year. Frustrating for them, but they have a lot coming back. TJ is one of those guys who will be a senior next year, Eric. So they do have a good core returning.
I can't believe TJ Boland's going to be a senior in high school. And we will chat when the OVC baseball tournament comes to a close. Rusty, appreciate the time, and we'll see you when we get back from Marion. Appreciate you jumping in with us.
Sounds good. Get the Red Hawks some wins, Eric.
All right, that is Rusty Hendricks. And say hello to the radiant and ravishing Dawn Shawn. Hope she has a wonderful day today. Stay tuned. We've got Clinton and Friends coming up. We'll talk to you Monday on the Sports Huddle.